When I saw this 3 for £10 meat deal in Morrisons, my mind immediately jumped to barbecue. I throw barbecues all the time and meat is expensive, so could I save myself a little bit of money but still produce high quality barbecue for my friends? In this video we're going to find out. I was due to host a barbecue for 4 people, so I popped down to Morrisons to see what I could find. I'd seen this deal before and none of it really appealed to me, but this time I spotted some chicken thighs and drumsticks in a big pack, some pork and beef mince, and then some pork shoulder steaks, and this set me off with an idea. I could buy all the meat I needed for my barbecue for just £10. Now you can't just serve meat on its own, so I'm going to immediately break the rules of my challenge and add in another £10 for sides. I'm aware this makes the concept, title and thumbnail a little bit misleading, so I apologise for that. First thing I'm going to do is put together some burgers, so I'm going to get some of these brioche buns and the 2 types of cheese, and then because I care about the health of myself and my friends, we're going to get a little bit of salad to go into, by way of this small bag of shredded lettuce for 75p. With the pork I'm going to make an over-the-top chilli, so I'm going to grab 3 tins of chopped tomatoes, a couple of brown white onions, which advertise themselves as 99p for a kilogram, and then we're going to do some baked potatoes to load that chilli on top of, so I'm going to get 4 of the biggest ones I can find for 85p a kilogram. Now I'm going to do some barbecue baked beans with this. I'm not going to go for the very cheapest option, we're going to go nice and mid-range with Morrisons' own brand baked beans. And with that it's time to go to the till and find out how much this is all going to cost me. Now the meat has come to £12.75, but I know £2.75 of that's going to come off, so I just need to hope that the rest of it is going to be below £10. Now the potatoes cost me £1.33 for a kilogram and a half, which is not half bad. The onions, very impressively, cost me 32p for 2 onions. Now the total's £21.59, so if we take off that meat deal, we end up with a total of £18.84, which is fantastic. It leaves me £1.16p for things like rubs and oil and stuff that I'm going to use from the cupboards. I'm feeling very happy with myself at this point, but can I make it all work? Well, stick around to the end to find out. Back home and with guests due in just over an hour, it's time to start on the chilli. So I'm going to start off by dicing up my 2 brown onions. There are so many elements to this barbecue that I need to make sure I get all my timings right, and the chilli is going to take the most time. With those diced, I'm going to start the chili sauce. Now use an old pan that you're happy to put on the barbecue, heat up some oil and fry off your onions until they're nice and soft. Then go ahead and add in some garlic. I'm being super lazy and throwing in some minced frozen garlic that I happen to have in the freezer. And once your garlic is cooked and smelling lovely, it's time to add in those chopped tomatoes. I'm doing 3 tins directly in. And then adding in 2 large tablespoons of tomato puree. Traditionally in a chili you'd probably put in cumin and chili powder, but I'm going to use my barbecue rub because I'm making this sort of barbecue smoky chili. To this you can add a good glug of Worcestershire sauce. I'm not putting chopped chilies in this, but you can do that at this point. And then add in a cup of beef stock, and just so it doesn't all dry out being a long time on the barbecue, you can add in a cup of water and it's ready to go. Now we're going to smoke the pork over it, which is why it's called an over-the-top chili. That pork's going to smoke slightly and drip all of its lovely juices into the chili itself. To season it, again I'm just using my barbecue rub, generously seasoned on both sides. This is my homemade rub, but you can use any barbecue rub you like, and it's time for the barbecue. I'm using my Traeger pellet smoker for this cook, but any lidded barbecue will be absolutely fine. Just set it up on an indirect heat at 180 degrees Celsius, or around 350 Fahrenheit. Just put in your pot of sauce with the meat over the top. And while that's cooking, we move on to the next longest thing, which will be the baked potatoes. We are just going to coat them with a little bit of olive oil and then cover them in SPG rub, which is of course just salt, pepper and garlic. I don't know why exactly, but baked potatoes done on the smoker are far superior to those done in the oven. Just try for yourself. And after about half an hour, that pork is nicely smoked and ready to go into the chili itself. So we're going to take it off, take it inside and get it cut up into nice big chunks. I'd normally use a whole shoulder for this, but these steaks seem to work fine. Smoking meat above a chili like this, allowing the flavours to drip in, is a fantastic way to incorporate that smoky, delicious flavour into your chili. And these are ready to go back in. I stir all those lovely nice big chunks of pork into the chili, and it's going to take about an hour for them to fully break down and be wonderful, delicious, tender chunks. And unfortunately for my poor dog, I didn't drop any of those chunks on the floor. So next up, I'm going to prepare my barbecue baked beans. I'm just going to shove like 2 tins of beans into the same pot that I had the pork in. Add in some more of my homemade barbecue rub, followed by a good dollop of just standard barbecue sauce. About a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce and we're done. Not the most exciting barbecue beans in the world, I know, but it's quick, easy and very cheap. And then we're on to the slightly fiddly and time consuming bit, the chicken. I wasn't really sure what ratios I would get in this pack of chicken, but I ended up with 8 drumsticks and 4 thighs. So I decided to prep the drumsticks first. Now I'm going to make these chicken lollipops with my drumsticks, which are a little bit fiddly, but they're great fun and really easy to eat. To make them, you just have to score the chicken leg all the way around, just to the bit where it's getting thick, and then you will find in there 1 or 2 tendons that you need to remove. Now this is the fiddly bit. But dig around, you'll find them, and then just cut them out. Some legs seem to have more tendons than others, but I have no idea why, not a chicken doctor. Once the tricky tendons are out of the way, you just want to grab yourself a piece of kitchen roll so that you can get a good grip and take off the end of the bone. Just get a thumb right into the joint and it should just rip completely off. And because you want these to stand up straight, you just need to take a shaving off the bottom so it's nice and flat and it can stand upright. Just pull the skin down around it and you're ready to go. And just repeat this process until all your drumsticks are done. These are a little bit of time and effort to make, granted, but they're great fun and they're a lot better than just your traditional drumstick on a barbecue. Now you can flavour these however you like, but I'm very conscious that my £1.16 budget isn't going to stretch that far, so I'm going to use the same barbecue rub I've been using on everything else. Just give them a good coating on every side and then they are good to go onto the barbecue. Next we are going to tackle our 4 chicken thighs. Now I love chicken thighs, but that bone's really annoying and gets in the way, so we're just going to take it out. This is really easy to do, just score along each side of the bone with a sharp knife. You just try and leave as much meat on the thigh as possible and make sure you get rid of any little cartilage bits, anything that's going to be chewy. This will leave you with a nice flat skin on thigh, and just repeat the process for all 4. These 2 get the business with the barbecue rub. Once you have given those thighs a good amount of rub, it's time to stack them up and take them out to the barbecue along with your lollipop chicken. We are about an hour into our total cook time now and have about 30 minutes of cooking left, so we're going to put on our barbecue bean and both types of chicken. And if my calculations are correct, this should all be ready at exactly the same time. And now to prepare the final piece of the puzzle, the smash burgers. Now for this we're using the pork and beef mince. Normally I would only use beef mince, but I'm willing to try this out in the name of science. I am splitting this into 6 equal portions because I'm going to do 2 double burgers and 2 single burgers. You can of course split this up however you like. Just don't overwork the mince. And my balls having been gently squeezed, it's time to take them to the barbecue. Now I have switched barbecues over to my plancha for this because you need a nice hot surface to make the smash burgers. You can just use any sort of cast iron pan or anything, put that on your normal barbecue, however you want to do it. Once I've toasted the bases, it's time to place down my meatballs and give them a good smash. I'm just using a burger press and some butcher's paper for this so that it doesn't stick, and this gives us a nice sized thin patty. Repeat the process a second time because I'm making it double stacked. And we're well on our way to some burger goodness. Just season them both up with salt on that one side. And now's the time to build the base of your burger. I'm just using some burger sauce I had in the fridge, some of that aforementioned lettuce to make this healthy, and that's all I'm doing for this super simple base. Once you can see little brown bubbles bubbling up through the meat, you know it's ready to flip. And to be fair, this pork and beef mince has gotten that wonderful crust to it. Time to add on both my plastic cheese and some of this Edam that I got. Pop the lid on. Apply a little bit of water just to create some steam, and then put a cover over to allow them to steam for 30 seconds. This both melts the cheese and helps break down all that butter inside the brioche bun. Stack one on top of the other and then put them both on the base that I'd pre-prepared. And then we have a absolutely delicious double smashed cheeseburger. a very welcome addition to my barbecue feast. At this point the clock has hit 0, so I believe my food should be ready. I just want to check with my handheld thermometer that the chicken has reached 63.5 degrees at least, and once I've confirmed that, I'm happy to go and it can all come off. This thigh has turned out really nicely with a nice crisp skin, and it's looking like I might just pull this off. The potatoes have been on for about 1 hour and 20 minutes and they've cooked nicely all the way through. I can feel they're nice and soft. The beans, to be honest, probably could have been on for a little bit longer, but you live and you learn. They're still going to be very tasty. And then this chili is looking and smelling absolutely fantastic. It's had 1.5 hours in total and that pork is all broken down nicely. With all the different elements of my barbecue feast ready to go, it is time to plate up. You can see this chili has reduced down nicely. Just give it up a stir. If it's too concentrated, you can just add in some more tomatoes or more water. And now it's time to plate up and see exactly how much food I've managed to do. Now I'm doing a portion for one person here, so it's 1/4 of all the food, starting off with a big jacket potato with some butter, loading that up with the chunky pork over the top chili, and some of those barbecue beans. I get 1 of the 4 chicken thighs, 2 of the chicken lollipops, and last but by no means least, the pork and beef smashed double cheeseburger. So, can you cook a barbecue for 4 people for £10, brackets £10 also for sides? Yes, you can. Not only that, you can knock up this insane barbecue feast that will leave even your hungriest guest completely satisfied. This was a really fun challenge to do, and it shows just how creative you can be with some really basic ingredients, and you don't need to spend crazy amounts of money to produce an epic barbecue. So what should my next barbecue challenge be? Let me know in the comments.